Hello, I'm Peter Blackwood, and I'm coordinator of the Uniting Church Icon School. And this video is a live presentation that I did on Saturday, first Saturday in November. And we got back to being in a live class for the first time in about 4 months. And it was lovely to be together. And I asked a question about thirds and the Fibonacci sequence. Does it work for helping us paint icons? So let's see.
Amongst many artists, there are theories about how proportions work, what is aesthetically pleasing to humans to look at. And one of the most common of these theories is the third rule. It works particularly well for landscape. And it also is, it's not only artists, but photographers will also aim your camera so that the horizon, for example, is at the third point. So how might that look? So here's a painting by an Australian artist, Heidelberg School, and when we divide that into thirds, look where the horizon is, sitting on the third. So 2/3 is cows and grass, and 1/3 is sky. But it can work the other way as well. So it works to have 2/3 in the sky as well as, and 1/3 below. In this painting, see how the tree, the main tree, sits again on the third mark. Now, does it always work, particularly in portraiture? And this comes closer to what we're dealing with because we are painting icons of people, of saints. Then how does it work? Well, it kind of does. But I think there is also another proportion method, which we'll look at in a few down the track, which actually worked better for some of these icons. And certainly, again, artists look at this other schema.
Is that the Fibonacci?
Yes. So the Fibonacci system also works really well, particularly for iconography.
Can you give an example?
I'll come to that, yeah. These are a couple of icons. Actually, this one's a very small one, which I bought on Crete. It's about that big. And in the church across the way, dedicated to Saint Titus, it kind of works. The head is in the third mark. But also it's interesting to see what happens with some key objects in icons, that they'll sit pretty close to one of these third junctures.
The lamp too, right up on the top.
Yes, that it's on the third line. I will sometimes, for example, sit the eyes on the third line if you've got a large face.
What was that about the eyes? So Peter sets the eyes on the third line. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you've got a large face,
Yeah.
sit the third on the eyes, so it's halfway on the face. This is in Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, and again, it's really interesting how often this particular posture, this amount of torso showing in an icon, sits the head in the top third. But again, there's the book sitting in the third mark there. The hand also. Again, the head sitting in the third mark. This works pretty much this way too, and in the this is also in Hagia Sophia, where the hands are, and in this one the eyes are on the third mark. This one isn't. The head is more, but there is the book being held there in the third mark. Well, does it work for the icon? Rublev's, and it does, but one of the things that is often pointed out, look how the circle works. It's just superb, isn't it? And again, another famous one.
There's the exception.
It kind of is, isn't it? But the Fibonacci system works better for it. Again, not so much. Incidentally, these two icons are in the same room in the Russian Gallery in St. Petersburg.
But what you're discussing is about, I'm taking from it anyway, that it's about the placement of the significant item of the icon. So the message in the icon with St. George is the destruction of the dragon, which is in the third, but we're looking at the head.
Yes.
And of Gabriel, it's the golden hair, and golden hair was in.
Yes, it kind of works, and it just seems to be what works as being aesthetically pleasing to the human eye.
Yes, it's interesting.
That's rather than trying to gather some theological significance. Kind of. There's the eye and the cross sitting on the third mark.
And the eyes are almost...
Yeah. This one I found really interesting, and of course we've got this was the model I used for Helena that's over there on the stand.
Is it contemporary work? It looks contemporary, doesn't it?
It is fairly, yes. Yeah.
What year?
Oh, I don't know.
But it's sort of 19th or something.
Oh, probably it's probably 20th century. It's probably quite, yeah. But also looking at the thirds in the head as well. And we'll come back to that. But this one is really interesting. So this is my version of Francis and Claire. And this is the model I was working from. Now, the artist took this from a fresco. He was modelling it on a larger wall. But you can see what he's done. He's put the two, he's got his panel, and he has put the two saints in their thirds. And it doesn't work.
No, they're social distancing.
They're social distancing, but they haven't got their masks on.
No, that's right.
So I wasn't happy with the way this was positioned. I can see what he did. He divided the thing not into thirds but down the middle, and then put it in half again. So he put them in their half. What it did, so you've got that margin there, and you've got that margin there, and it's fat there. There's too much distance. So I thought, what about moving each saint's centre line in? It fixes it.
I'm not sure it does. It doesn't solve the problem. I mean, my mind said, where's the suspended cross or something like that is the unifying?
Oh, yes, I see what you mean. Another thing that I did do with this was to raise them up. I thought they would... Well, what about the Fibonacci sequence? The Fibonacci sequence works in an interesting way. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Then take these two numbers, 2 and 3, and add them together and you get 5. Take these two numbers and you get 8. Take these two numbers and you get 13. And it keeps going and going and going. And if you represent it, if you have 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, and you're making these squares in those proportions, you get this spiral effect, which we see in nature again and again in all sorts of things. This Fibonacci sequence seems to work. So what if you start to apply the Fibonacci sequence to, particularly to portraiture? So we start with the eye, you can see how that works. But not only that, look what happens if you start with the pearl. And this is often artists will use, of course, this Leonardo da Vinci as an example of how the Fibonacci... I'm not so convinced by this one, really.
And how does one use it? I see what it shows.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there with a piece of paper.
I think I don't use it for art. I do use it for photography. Because in the program that I use for developing my photos, I can superimpose the Fibonacci sequence onto the screen, and I can, if I'm cropping and moving stuff around, then I can use this for positioning, say, something that is key there.
Who discovered it? Was it Da Vinci?
Fibonacci.
Oh, of course. Da Vinci was so incredibly detailed.
Well, that's right. I'm not sure where. I'll have to look up where Fibonacci fits into.
So it just feels right. Just right.
Yeah.
I think
It just works.
And I think it's to do with your blind spot.
Yeah. Yeah. But in terms of setting up, I mean, it'd be interesting to try when doing an icon to say, well, but I think the thirds system works better for us, particularly sort of working out where's that book going to go, where's that cross going to go, and getting a balance between what sits here and what sits there. Yeah. And I think the Fibonacci schema works better for these. See how that works? And you flip it over again.
Isn't that interesting?
Does this work? Yeah. That works better.
That works. Yes, it does, doesn't it? That's amazing.
This works better.
It does indeed.
Look how the horse, the arch of the horse and the...
Can you flip that to see what happens to them?
I don't think I did, no. But to return to Helena, ta-da. Now what amazed me in this was how much it worked. Get rid of those. That arm, that bit of clothing, and the way that it scoops up follows around quite precisely. Was he thinking of that when he painted it? Probably not, but it kind of works.
If you design, you have to think of where the eye goes.
Yeah.
And they're not new ideas.
No.
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 So, if you're a professional, you are.
And that's how she turned out. And it works okay that way as well.
It does. Oh, that's fantastic.
So,
Beautiful. That's amazing.
thirds and Fibonacci's.
Thank you for watching. The class found it interesting, and some of them started drawing thirds on their planning pages after this session. So it seemed to have had some impact. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, and hope to see you again next time. Bye for now.